Hey everybody, it's Patrick Lovell coming to you on June 29th, which is a Wednesday. It looks like 12:30 p.m. my time, and I had to chime in just based on this insanity that we're seeing play out in the Trump insurrection hearings. I thought that yesterday was really quite extraordinary, especially the amount of information, not information, but attention that is being paid to, a woman that was seemingly unknown yesterday, and she just stepped into, you know, probably the sliding door of history, right? I mean, this 25-year-old assistant to Mark Meadows, a Republican, and quite frankly, obviously very intelligent, just showed incredible courage yesterday. Her name is Miss Hutchinson, and she just basically did what I think most of us would do under the circumstances, which is tell the truth. She understood what the hell was going on January 6th. She understood that they were, inciting an insurrection to actually overtake the Capitol. That Trump, she said, knew that they had weapons, and he said he didn't care. He tried to hijack, as the beast, which was insane, from the Secret Service guys to get him over to, hurl himself in the middle of the whole thing. And I thought that was pretty amazing, and I thought that it was also something I kind of chuckled about, but at the same time, I think I threw up in my mouth a little bit thinking about Trump, throwing food against the walls of the White House in a rampage of just a spoiled child and everything that he does. And, my message to all of you that aren't Nazis or white supremacists and want the Confederacy, and there's a lot of white folks out there that are good people that go to church, that are farmers, that are conservative, and the closest that thing you have to orientation based on, your knowledge of the last 40, 50 years of, basically the Democratic Party alongside Wall Street, decimating the industrial Midwest for starters, and everything that led to globalism. Quite frankly, that was created really from Reagan onward, but Clinton had a huge role in that. But you're oriented towards where do you land? What are you supposed to do? I mean, the closest thing you have, that the other side of the system is corrupt. You guys have basically talked about Q and deep state and everything else. Yeah, there is a deep state. Okay, look, the convergence of deep state is what I call the new feudalism. It might be techno-feudalism, but just the opposite of liberty and justice for all. You've got the Ivy League meritocracy that is basically ruled by Wall Street because everybody's corrupt, and Wall Street and corruption has overtaken the three tiers branches of government, starting with SCOTUS, and I think we can all see that. And all of this madness with Trump, quite frankly, is just a continuation of what we reveal in the con that led to what, quite frankly, Trump is involved with. Okay, so if you want to know the truth, the stuff that's on display in these hearings is minuscule compared to what Trump's been involved with for a long time, particularly racketeering and control fraud. That's first and foremost. And he's been laundering money for for Putin and everything else through his real estate. I'm sorry if that's hard for you to hear. He's no patriot, and he's running over all of you. He's a mob boss. But if you really contextualize who Trump is, if the mob and the Christian right had a love child, it'd be Donald Trump. And he took one for the team, and then people that support that sort of thing ended up with SCOTUS being stacked, and of course we end up with like the reversal of Roe versus Wade, and there's a lot more to come from that. Okay, just acknowledge that there's a lot of people out there that are going to support that come hell or high water, but it's all undergirded by criminality. Okay, now what Trump did, honestly, is as huge and shocking and terrible as it is. That, of course, somebody like the likes of this 25-year-old woman who had the courage to go against the Republican Party to reveal what she knew, Miss Hutchinson, yesterday, that's a small drop in the bucket compared to the corruption that we reveal on the con at www.con.tv. In fact, the con is sort of the equivalent of what you see on display in these hearings, but as it results to what Wall Street did, which literally, created tens of millions of illegal and fraudulent documents through, the electronic system called MERS and other things that led to tens of millions of documentation fraud being used to bury homeowners that got set up and wiped out, and then they wiped out pensions of teachers unions and steel workers and union guys and all the rest of it. I mean, everything that built this country, they destroyed in one fell swoop. Okay, this has been a continuation of honestly 4 fucking decades, and I continue to tell you that if you knew, for example, that Bush and Cheney were in cahoots with the Saudis to enable 9/11, to perpetuate fossil fuel for the next 20 years, that creates this hive of this military-industrial complex within the financial complex that has complete control of everything, that ended up buying all of media, and media won't tell you this story, that then led to this situation where half of you who were victims of this whole thing end up just getting the pitchforks out and then following a guy like Trump, who just happens to be a mob guy who totally manipulates you guys, pissing on your head, telling you it's rain, acting like he's your savior. Meanwhile, he's just trying to get a piece for himself. I know you see that. You can't be that naive not to understand that Trump is about Trump, okay? And quite frankly, neo-Nazis and Confederates are about them, but not all of you are like that. And please do not throw yourself into this notion of religion and God is on your side for the type of control that's being involved with this whole thing. It's just the opposite of liberty and justice for all. But if you want the integrity of law to work, if you have the character like Ms. Hutchinson displayed yesterday, or all of the whistleblowers that we display in the con, you got to understand a couple of things here, just for comparison's sake, right? So Ms. Hutchinson, and like if you're following, I don't know, let's just say because Fox is just reacting the way Fox predictably would, and all of its misinformation and everything else. But then let's just say CNN and MSNBC are just following the sort of trajectory of the way this whole thing is playing out. They're all funneling this whole debacle of corruption on Trump, like he's the guy that's going to reach, answer for the whole thing. He's just a distraction. Okay, so in comparison, for example, we've had testimony that the National Archives is working with the FBI because Trump got rid of all sorts of top classified information and other things. And then of course you've got all of these people in media, the pundits and the guys responding, and they're like, my God, how is it that we are literally enabling this symphony of lies that are so easily exposed to take over the entire party? That's what this whole thing has become, a political. Now, the Republicans are guilty of that, but the Democrats pointing their fingers are just taking the page out of Donald Trump's book, which is lie, deny, switch the blame, and implicate. So what I'm trying to tell you, all you MAGA supporters, and I don't think you probably don't want to be called MAGA, all of you white America, hardworking folks that need somebody to express what's happening for you, you need to be aware also that these Democrats, through Obama and Eric Holder, his attorney general, literally let Wall Street get away with a con that was magnitudes trillions upon trillions of times bigger than what Trump did in terms of devastation. Now, what Trump did was huge, and it would, in any normal, scenario, be like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. I mean, in comparison to Watergate, this shit's fucking over the moon, insane. But in context to the 2008 great financial crisis, it's a drop in the fucking bucket. And meanwhile, what took place in 2008 and didn't get freaking fixed because we didn't hold the criminals accountable. The way I look at this system and this structure within finance, they operate like the mob. They are the mob. Okay, that's what we expose in the con, www.thecon.tv. The crimes are insane, and they got away with $29 trillion in 2009. That enabled them to kind of double down and do it again. We've spent another $30 trillion since 2019. Okay, I can guarantee you that whatever the Mercers that are even on display in these hearings with the insurrection hearings, or the Koch brothers and everything else that end up spending, however knows how much money, for influence in the Supreme Court. I mean, if you put it together over the course of, decades, I mean, we're probably talking hundreds of millions of dollars at best, right? It's not 50 trillion freaking million dollars. Okay, that's what, it's beyond insane. And I'm the only one that continues to deliver this intersection of the truth. For those that are saying democracy will be lost if we don't indict and convict Trump. Democracy was lost a long time ago. We don't have a democracy. Now, a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, we have Republic and we have this and that. No, man, we just have a crime syndicate, man. They took over. The difference between, for example, Trump, and this is my theory on Trump, guys. Trump wanted to get a piece of the action. And he had some big guys that helped him out. And his friends are like Saudi Arabia and Putin. Who loves Putin out there, guys? Well, obviously during the Trump administration, there were plenty of you out there that were like, hey, Putin's a white guy like us, so what's the problem? has nothing to do with liberty and justice, the integrity of law, dynamics, and the spirit of the American dream and everything this country fought for, from defeating King George III and the Redcoats and the American Revolution all the way through the Civil War and the Battle of Gettysburg and getting rid of course, the Confederacy, and then all of the civil rights stuff that had to go on, to try to rid ourselves of Jim Crow. But simultaneously, we fought Hitler and fascism, and we won every single time. And then we lose for a while, and then we win again, and then we lose again. I want to win back freedom, liberty, dignity, and integrity, and character and justice for all. If you unleash the American spirit and the power of the heroes that I know exist out there, we will decimate this corruption. We will win the day, and we will create the greatest renaissance the world has ever seen. Until somebody else can come up with the information that I have and that I continue to deliver to you, I'm the only one that can bring the truth to you, unfortunately. I'm just a conduit to all the guys that are a lot smarter than I am, but unfortunately, I'm the guy that for some reason history put into this position to try to work through this insane, polluted, monster of grift where lies seem to be the only commodity that matters. Please, I am begging you, do not let us exist in this world any longer where the truth has no value. The truth is all that matters. We are not a nation of life, liberty, and justice for all. We are not a nation of a government of, by, and for the people. It has been hijacked by hyenas of corruption. And there's a methodology to how they work. And by the way, most of it is on display during these hearings. But everything that you're seeing on display with the Republicans and Donald Trump, quite frankly, as horrible as it is, and I've said it about 10 times in this truth bomb, is literally a drop in the bucket compared to what the meritocracy of the Wall Street Democratic Party allowed the CEOs of Wall Street to get away with after 2008. And I will say this as a last consideration, okay? Because dude, both parties have been involved with this crap. You need to understand it, and you need to look at the world this way. If you knew that the Bush administration with Cheney allowed 9/11 to happen for the outcome, and then, of course, the Clinton machine alongside Obama and everything that represents allowed Wall Street to get away with it, how much you explain the world that we live in without that consideration? Would Trump make a lot more sense? It still doesn't explain COVID, and I'm not sure what to say about that. Again, I'll just say what I've said a million times, that I've had my vaccine and booster shots, and I'm not dead. But at the same time, there's something really fucking weird about what the hell all of this constitutes. All I can tell you is that we've been under siege for a very long time. We're trying to create a renaissance, a revolution of the mind, spirit, and body to reanimate what the United States is all about. My name is Patrick S. Lovell. Please join me. The Justice Party. Peace.